SDI membership is about being part of a global contemplative movement that contributes to peace, justice, and living in right relationship with all living beings. The SDI learning community is a group of compassionate listeners who are committed to serving others on their spiritual journeys. Everyone is welcome to become a member of SDI, which also supports our work to advocate for the healing contemplative modalities of spiritual direction and companionship. Become a new member or renew your membership on SDI's secure online store at sdicompanions.org. Welcome to this episode of SDI Encounters, a podcast on spiritual direction and spiritual companionship. I'm Matt Whitney. Thank you for listening. Learn more about our work and the work of spiritual direction and spiritual companionship on our website, sdicompanions.org. This week through June 24th, we are running our Solstice celebration, which offers 20% savings on most everything SDI offers, including memberships. In this conversation with Executive Director Reverend Seifu, we discuss why we do these celebrations and how we hope folks benefit. An SDI membership is a particularly valuable and critical way to develop, connect, and expand the practice of spiritual companionship and the vibrant and deeply meaningful community we share. Whether a seasoned veteran or a newly budding spiritual director, we all benefit greatly from the exchange and conversation that occurs on a community-wide level. If you haven't already, consider taking advantage of 20% off a new or renewed SDI membership through Monday, June 24th, 2024. Discounts this extensive are only available twice per year and include new webinars, journeys, and pilgrimages, retreats, special bundled packages, books and publications, advertising, and as we mentioned, even memberships. Okay, so Reverend Seifu, it is June 2024. We're in the midst of what we call a Solstice celebration. Why do we call it a celebration?
Well, because that's one way that we celebrate our members is by making our offerings more accessible to all of you as a gift to our community.
Why can't everything just be lower cost?
Discounted all the time.
All the time.
Because we have to cover our costs as an organization. So we can only offer these sales from time to time.
Yeah, I'm imagining a member probably notices that SDI offers a lot of different offerings. And in fact, with this Solstice celebration, there are, I think, 6 new offerings and 2 new journeys. And it's certainly a lot of stuff.
It is, and I acknowledge that it's kind of overwhelming, which is why we're doing this little video. But this is a way to give everyone an opportunity to save as much as possible for these offerings that'll span the next 6 months. In some case, the next, the Spanish journey is in May of next year, so 11 months away. Just to give an opportunity for those of you who want to be able to save now. But I concur that it makes it hard to highlight each rich offering individually.
Well, SDI is a member organization, but it seems like you mentioned, we offer a broad range of webinars and courses rooted in the modality of spiritual companionship, but really diversely expressed. And can you speak to why SDI does so many of these over the course of a year? I mean, all the time we're offering a new webinar or a new course.
Yeah. So we have a community of lifelong learners, and continuing education is an area that's been identified as key by almost everyone, all of you members that we talk to. Right, that you're always looking for new perspectives on spiritual companionship, spiritual direction, new educational opportunities around people, individuals, processes, methods that can enhance our practice and our calling. And so a few years ago, I think it was about 4 years ago, we really decided to try to respond to the demand that was coming our way from the community, from the SDI community, with an increasing number of diverse, inclusive, and equitable educational offerings. We are an educational nonprofit. That's our designation, a 501c3 educational nonprofit. So education, ongoing education, is core to what this organization does through all of its offerings, whether it's journeys, pilgrimages, our yearly conference or mini conferences, webinars and courses, our books, SDI Press books, our publications, Presence, Connections, Listen. So basically everything that we do is focused around ongoing education, because we've been told that that's what our community wants. And in fact, SDI education has been the fastest growing segment. It is our second largest source of revenues.
Yeah, I'm even thinking back to when the pandemic started. We moved into exclusively offering online courses and webinars, and it was the primary vehicle by which our community gathered. And anytime I'm describing SDI, first and foremost, I name it as a learning community. We're a learning community of spiritual companions. And every webinar, every course is like an opportunity really just for spiritual companions to come together and have a meaty topic to discern on, bringing in awesome presenters who are well versed on the topic, and it's an opportunity to have some community and build some relationships, and you can call it networking or what you will.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting that for a modality, a calling that is so focused on exploring the unknown, we are all of us members, including myself, so hungry to discover more and more things, right? And discover, because everything falls under the umbrella of spiritual companionship, almost everything, from looking at it from a holistic approach. And so it makes sense that we look for echoes and mirrors in lots of different places that can speak authentically and with great relevance to our calling. And so that's what we're striving to do at the staff level at SDI, is to bring as much of these opportunities to all of the members in an effort to enrich the reach and breadth of our calling.
Members notice sometimes that they get a lot of emails. The strategy is not just to sell things, right? Our emails are our primary vehicle for communicating these various offerings to our community, and a lot of our members are really grateful for knowing like when things are starting, when deadlines are, things like that.
Yeah, I think I think that it's worth keeping in mind there's 6,700 of us members in the SDI network, and everybody here has a different rhythm of when we look at mails, the time of the week, the time of the day. And so we offer up this frequency because the response to it varies so dramatically. I mean, I think this is one of the things that we've learned about reaching out to a network as large as ours. 6,700 people is not a trivial number. And so we want to make sure that there's as many opportunities as possible for all of you to get this information. Now, we also do have filters and various ways that you can, restrict the number of emails that are coming to you if you prefer to just get the one on Friday and not the one on Sunday, or if you want to get Community Tuesday but not get the digital refuges on the weekends, you can filter that, and we've actually, membership services can assist you with that. We've made that possible through our technology as well. But it's really an effort to increase our reach to as many of you members as possible. I think that's the best answer I can give to that question.
So why do members have to pay for these webinars and courses? I know you've spoken to this a little bit already, but maybe you can expand a little bit.
Well, I think, thank you for bringing up that question. I think you'll have noticed, all of you, that over the last year and a half, we have very significantly enhanced our community offerings. Our community offerings that we call them free, that they're basically included in the price of your membership. And so on a wide variety of topics, teachers across the spectrum are offering these 1 hour, 90-minute sessions. Group spiritual direction is one example, and just on a wide variety of topics. And so what we're trying to do is balance the value of membership and what comes included within it, which is obviously our great publications, presence and connections and listen, as well as all of these free community offerings and opportunity gathering opportunities, with sustaining the organization as a whole and providing learning opportunities that are much more in depth, much more broad. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
So, Matt, let's see. Do you think there are too many offerings?
I don't, because there's no one size fits all for our community. And I mean, maybe it's our conference, but even then you have several keynote speakers and workshops and, could even like contemplative practices in the morning. There's several different sort of flavors of that, whether it's meditation or centering prayer or yoga. And I think we understand that contemplative practice is diverse and broad, and as probably as diverse as there are people in the world. There are certain topics we come back to continually, such as supervision, because we think that accountability and growth are important parts of our spiritual companionship practice. But there's so many different ways to express the modality and even just to be in spiritual companionship with one another. And as we are a diversifying body of members, it's critically important that we offer webinars and courses in which people can identify, can see themselves reflected back or mirrored back. So I think it's important that we offer a whole lot of stuff so that people can see themselves and understand that that SDI is a place where they belong and there are offerings for them.
Yeah, thank you. I would say that what we're trying to do with this video is just to explain a little bit more about everything that we're offering in these celebrations, because it is a lot, and it's a lot to go through, and it's a lot to parse out. And as I mentioned before, it's just to give everyone an opportunity to be able to get these discounts during these sales, which happen twice a year, the Solstice sales in December and in June. And but what we're trying to do here is to, speak a little more about the riches of journaling, the potential for Zen meditation to enhance your spiritual companionship practice, the fascinating, insightful, and inspiring perspectives of our queer webinar series on spiritual companionship and how broad and invitational it is, and a few others that you might want to speak about, Matt.
Yeah, well, and also speaking not just from a sort of diverse community and from an identity perspective, but also just from an experiential perspective. Like there are members in our community that they want the practical learning that is going to serve their spiritual companionship practice. So our Making a Living series is one of our more popular ones. So Rosalind Weiner, who wrote Seeking in the Wisdom of Others, Seeking in the Company of Others, the Wisdom of Group Spiritual Direction, that is a very practical, hands-on, like we're going to learn and actually do group spiritual direction together in a way that you can then go and offer that to groups. The queering webinar, through spiritual companionship through queer lenses, is really kind of an exploration of the mystical path. It helps us recognize that like identity is fluid, and ultimately, like if we are one with the universe, with the cosmos, with God, however one names that, there's wisdom there for us. And so we can kind of bask in that wisdom together. spiritual journaling, because so many of our members love to write and journal, and I'm one of those. And so,
Yeah.
or Zen meditation, right? There's just so many different sort of modalities that one can engage with based on just what their needs are in any given season.
Yeah, and thankfully, there's fairly detailed descriptions on each of these new offerings that all of you members can access just by clicking through on the links that we offer up in Digital Refuge for each offering. We'll take you to a page where you can gather a lot more information about the schedule and the curriculum for each of these, and the topics that are going to be addressed, and how a small taste and flavor of how they're going to be addressed. Of course, we'll be providing more information as we go along, but we want to provide you with enough information that you can make a decision about whether to proceed with purchasing these offerings. And so there is quite a bit of more information if you just click through, which we encourage all of you to do, and makes it a little less overwhelming. Each click, takes you to the specific descriptions, and so in a few short minutes, you can get a really much more in-depth sense of each one of them.
Yeah, it's important to note that, and also just that we don't expect every member to sign up for everything. I imagine as you're reading through what is being offered, maybe one of those things is going to pique your interest. And yes, then you can click through and learn more about that offering and register there. And speaking of, it's probably important to note these two new journeys that we're offering, one to Spain and one to India, which we've never done before.
Yeah, I mean, the India offering, our director of programs and business management, who will be co-leading that webinar with an extremely seasoned and experienced spiritual companion. You'll be going to lots of different sites over a 15-day journey, religious and sites of great spiritual significance throughout India, and learning about enriching your own practice as a spiritual companion and spiritual director thereby. So that's a fantastic opportunity. The Spain journey as we've mentioned, is our most popular pilgrimage on the Ignatian Camino in Spain. And so it's led by Father Josep, and who is very knowledgeable about St. Ignatius and about spiritual direction in particular. And so that's a great and wonderful pilgrimage opportunity that usually sells out, and usually sells out pretty quickly. So a wonderful opportunity for all of you to avail yourself of that. I also want to emphasize that our memberships are on sale for 20% off, which is a great way to become an SDI member at a significant discount, or to extend your membership for up to 1 year additional beyond what you already have signed up for. And so these are great opportunities to maximize the tremendous value of being an SDI member.
Being a member really is an amazing value. I mean, you get a lot for that. $99 and 20% off at the basic level. You get access to all our presence articles and connections, like you said, and regular group spiritual direction companionship sessions. You get a profile on our Find a Spiritual Companion guide, which is accessed by tens of thousands of people every month. And every time I talk to a member, they have had people find them on the Find a Spiritual Companion guide. And I'm always like, if just one person finds you and signs up for a session, that pays for membership usually by itself and is worth it. So there's just a lot of value there for being a member. And it also just, it supports our work. It supports the work of advocating for spiritual direction companionship in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I'll end on that note by saying that what we're trying to do, obviously, is invite all of us to participate more in the SDI community, but we also want to invite everyone, and there are so many people out there who've never heard of spiritual direction or spiritual companionship, and who, when they do hear about it, are thrilled and inspired and really to use this modality, which is our common modality, to transform their lives and to transform their understanding of ultimate meaning and ultimate purpose, however each of us defines that. And so I think that's a collective outreach that we can do as a community, as the entire SDI community, through all of these programs, is to invite the many, many people who can benefit greatly from our calling.
If you're enjoying this podcast and you want to help us share and spread the word about the life-giving practice of spiritual companionship, you can help us out by subscribing to this podcast through your favorite app. You could give us a like or even write us a review. Thank you for listening. This is Matt Whitney with Spiritual Directors International. Thanks again for listening. Your time and your presence here are deeply appreciated. If you liked this show and would like us to continue making them, please do subscribe now while it's fresh on your mind. Also, we would love to hear from you, so please feel free to send in your comments and suggestions to the email address podcast@sdiworld.org. SDI is the home of spiritual companionship. Learn more about us and our work on our website, sdicompanions.org.